Well, hello, this is Greg Elwell with B2B Inbound, and this is going to be a tutorial on how to search and find podcasts in the iTunes store. So, first of all, we are looking at iTunes right now. Let me scroll up so you can see at the top of this, you have a bunch of banners going across and they're rotating. These are various podcasts that Apple decides to feature based on popularity. So, popularity having to do with downloads, recent subscribers, ratings and reviews, things like that. What's hot. And then you also notice, and this what we're showing here in just the general podcast category are really all podcasts, all categories. So it's all lumped in together here. And then you have this new and noteworthy section that's right below the featured podcast, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But let's go ahead and search for. Let's say that we want to find a category in business. So we want to look at business podcasts. So you can see all the different categories that they have here. Everything from arts to business, kids and family, music, TV, film, technology, religion and spirituality. It's all right here. So let's go to business. All right, so our screen refreshes, and now what we have is, let's stick with this new and noteworthy section for a second. The new and noteworthy section are all the podcasts that are most popular within the first 8 weeks that they are released or listed in iTunes. And again, you got to think about this in terms of downloads, recent subscriptions, ratings, and reviews. There's some algorithm that Apple uses to determine which are the popular podcasts by category, and they show them in the new and noteworthy section in the first 8 weeks that those podcasts have been published and listed in iTunes. So it's really important that, for instance, John Lee Dumas talks about this in his book Podcast Launch. He's got a whole section on new and noteworthy in iTunes and how important it is to really come out of the gate strong if you are a podcast producer, in terms of having a number of episodes that you can launch and working hard at getting others that you know to download your podcast, subscribe to your podcast, and certainly give it a rating and review. Because if you have your podcast listed in this section, obviously your podcast is going to be more visible to those that come into iTunes and start looking at podcasts. You want yours to be one of the first ones that they see. All right, we're going to drill into that a little bit and just a little bit later, but let's go ahead and look at the right hand side here, where we have business audio, as you can see, and there's a couple sections down here on the right hand side to take a look at. You have top episodes in the overall business category. Now keep in mind that there's a number of subcategories within each of the major categories, and I'll show that in just a moment. But it first lists the top episodes. Here's Dave Ramsey's show. He's got an episode here that he recorded, and that's currently the top episode in the business category. And you can see all the other ones there as well. So all you'd have to do is just click on it, and you would be able to either listen to it, or you could download it. You could sync it up to your mobile device, your iPhone, your iPod, Touch, I should say, or your iPad. And then you've got the top podcasts. So not only do you have top episodes, but you have the top podcasts in this category. Again, overall business, and you can see Dave Ramsey is doing pretty well. He's got the #2 ranked podcast and the #1 podcast episode, and I've seen that to be pretty consistent with Dave Ramsey. He's normally on the top, so that might be one that you want to check out. Now, here are the other business subcategories that we have in iTunes. We have, for instance, management and marketing. That's the one I want to go to. That's the one that I'm in, and that's the one that that I most listen to. So here we go. Again, we have the new and noteworthy section. And again, there's a total of 8 podcasts that go across here, and I'm only showing 5 because my screen is shrunk. And you can see who they are, right? And if you wanted to look at more, all you would need to do is click on I'm sorry, see all. I'm in the wrong place here. Click on see all, and it would show you all the podcasts that they have currently showing in the new and noteworthy section. It's kind of, I think, ordered in terms of popularity. So you can scroll down that and you can just kind of look and see if anything catches your eye. What might you be interested in, based upon the artwork here, and the headlines of the shows, the hosts of the shows, things like that. All right, but let's face it. I mean, who's got the time to do all that, right? So what you might want to do is get a little bit more scientific and drill down a little bit more in terms of what you might be looking for. So again, in the business management and marketing section, you have, again, top episodes, and then you have top podcasts. And it looks like the HBR IdeaCast has the top episode and also has currently the top podcast in the business management and marketing section. Okay, so again, this is different from what we just saw, which was all of business. But if we narrow it down, we drill down into these subcategories, and you can see what's really popular in these subcategories, and that might be a good way for you to select a podcast to either listen to by episode or the whole podcast itself, in terms of all the different episodes, and then you can subscribe to it as well. So here, for instance, here's some that I'm aware of that I listen to: the Smart Passive Income podcast by Pat Flynn. Here is the Social Media Marketing Podcast. That's Michael Stelzner's This Is Your Life, Michael Hyatt. I listen to that one. Seth Godin's got a podcast, and so on and so forth. Okay. So now, let's say you wanted to look at more. All you would need to do is click on Top Podcasts, and now here you have all of the top podcasts that are in this particular category, management and marketing podcasts. And there's a total of what Apple is going to show you in iTunes is they're going to show you a total of 200 of the top podcasts in the category that you're looking at. Here's Chris Brogan's podcast. Here's Srini's Broadcast FM. I listen to that one. In this listing. Okay, so you can go all the way down. There's a total of 200. Now there's more than 200. There's somewhere in the neighborhood of, I think I heard 200,000 or 250,000 total podcasts in iTunes. So there's a lot there, and so because of that, you might not find the one that you're looking for. So what you might want to do is you might want to do a keyword search, and here's how that works. If you go up to the top search bar and put your cursor in there, and you type in what you're looking for. So let's say you're looking for inbound marketing, an inbound marketing podcast. Okay, so I've typed that in, and now we're going to go search for the podcasts that are in that category, or in that in that context of those keywords. So here's the podcast up at the top here. And as you could imagine, they have inbound in them. So there's a number of HubSpot related podcasts here. And so what you can do with this is you can scroll to the right, and you can see other podcasts that might be in this category, okay, of inbound marketing. There you go. There's a bunch of them. So you can kind of drill down and get into it. Now here's mine, Expert Interviews Podcast, and I have mine listed in here. Mine shows up because in my description and my show, my headline of my show, it says inbound, and I also have inbound marketing as you go further into that. And if you're reading my blog, you'll see how I have optimized for the term inbound marketing. So so that's great. So you want to be able to show up when people might be searching for specific things relative to your show. So another one that is important to me is B2B marketing. So if I type in B2B marketing, let's see what pops up here. And here's iPad apps, here's iPhone apps, here's our podcast right down here. Okay. podcasts, and here I am again, Expert Interviews Podcast. That's me. Again, so let me go ahead and I tell you what, let me click on that so you can get a sense of how I have just recently optimized my page, my listing in iTunes. So B2B Inbound Expert Interviews Podcast, inbound marketing. Remember we just searched for that. Content marketing, B2B marketing. So I've just shown you inbound marketing and B2B marketing, how I show up for those. And I would tell you I will also show up if you type in content marketing. I will also show up because look at what a lot of people do, and I just learned this myself recently, is in terms of the author or the host of the show, a lot of people just put in their name. Like I did that. I just had Expert Interviews Podcast, Greg Elwell. But now I put all these other keywords in here along with my, a little bit more of a description of my name that goes along with my name and what I'm all about, so people can get to know me a little bit better. And actually, these become keywords that are searchable as well up in the search box in the iTunes store. So, if you typed in things like thought leader, writer, content marketer, that I would probably show up. And then I also have a number of different, so I have a full description of my show here, what it's all about. And there's keywords in here as well that's relative to my show and the content of my podcast. All right, so that's how you can find a podcast a number of different ways, just by kind of doing general searches, but then you can also do searches that are more specific and narrow based upon your interest level, based upon keywords. So thanks for joining me on this tutorial on how to search and find podcasts in iTunes Store. I hope you found it valuable.